Welcome back to Collector versus Creators podcast. I'm your tired host, JG Collects, and I have some special guests coming all the way from Columbus, Ohio. They have a business which is definitely ready to hit the streets running. And we have another guest who is behind the scenes. We see him in TikToks, we see him on Instagram, but we really don't know who he is. But this time, we're going to get a chance to hear the man speak. And yes, he does speak.
Yes, I do. This is Senpapi coming all the way from Columbus, Ohio. And appreciate JG for having me come out here today.
And
I'm Maki.
Hi, Maki. You always come on with the soft, subtle voice. But before we get into y'all business, before we get into everything y'all got going on, first of all, Keys, who are you? Tell the people who you are.
Again, I'm Senpapi. I used to go by Keys Cosplay on social media, but recently updated that name so you can find me on TikTok, IG, and Facebook, again, under Senpapi. I'm just a cosplayer, and before she corrects me, I'm not a chef. I just cook, sometimes, and, she liked my food.
How long you been into anime?
I've been into anime since, childhood. Started back on Toonami. With DBZ, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Samurai Champloo. Every once in a while, I'll go back and watch some of the classics, but among my favorites are the classics like DBZ, Naruto, and things like that. Of course, I had to come out and represent my favorite anime. But yeah, I always been into anime growing up. Back in the day, anime wasn't always, as popular as it is now and as accepted, but, to see how far anime has come now, it's really dope seeing how everybody's really getting into it, and part of our, or the biggest part of our concept is based on anime, is anime inspired cuisine, and to add on top of that, not only do we have the anime themed restaurant, but we also have an anime themed Airbnb that's coming soon as well. So it's just really dope to see how far anime has come, and anime has played such a big part of my life personally, especially Naruto. That show has so many life lessons and characters in it that you could really relate to. It's a very emotional show, and I feel like on that same note, it's a lot of real stuff that happens in that show too. But before I go into a tangent, I'm sure we'll come back to that show. But yeah, I always been an anime head.
Hey, I always love to hear that. I always ask everybody who comes up here, how was it growing up? Because in my era, it was accepted. Yours, I don't know, because I really don't know how old you are. So it's like, how was it? Were you open? Was it open for you and your friends to watch it where you wouldn't have to worry about criticism or anything?
Nah. And for those that are wondering, I'm not afraid to share my age. I am 30. But yeah, back when I was a kid, back in elementary school, it's like the extent that you could show that you was into anime is like, how you have them binders that have like the clear things in the front of it, and you could slip a picture in there. It's like, that's how you knew someone was in anime, because like you would, maybe draw Dragon Ball Z or have like a picture of a character, you would slip it in there, and that's about it. But you would be labeled the weird kid in school if, you was out here throwing up ninja hand signs, or if you was running down the hall, as Naruto, or doing any of that stuff, because nobody really messed with anime like that. It was considered cartoons. People didn't really know what to make of anime back, when I was a kid. But over time, more people started, getting into it. And I think most people start anime with like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, like the main animes. And then, they kind of branch off into other things. But, again, it's like I was saying before, it's just really dope that over time it's become more, widely accepted. It's been really cool to watch that happen.
It's funny that you say that, because we have a 3-year age gap. I'm 33, and growing up, Dragon Ball was highly accepted. Like, you got all the street dudes. We was just all loving Dragon Ball, just scrapping on each other and going at it. And then, like I told Maki before, that's how I made my first profit, just selling tapes of Dragon Ball. And like at that point, it really wasn't bad to watch anime. But then the younger generation, it just became, you got shunned. So you transferred to watching anime to getting into cosplay. How hard was that for you when you first got into it?
It wasn't, it wasn't really hard to get into cosplay. One of my friends, she goes by Ninja Cosplay, but she was someone that really inspired me to get into cosplay, and she like does her own edits and pieces her own cosplays and stuff together. And one day we were just in the Discord and she was like, I think you would look really dope as this character. And I was like, well, I don't know the first thing about cosplay or anything like that. She was like, oh, you could just start by just looking at some stuff on Amazon. And I think some other websites is like AliExpress and stuff like that, or Easy Cosplay. And I came across this Kakashi cosplay because, again, Naruto's is my show. And that was the character that she recommended that I do because my locks at the time were kind of short enough to pull off Kakashi. And she had told me about this hair wax that, I'm using currently in my hair right now. And I just went and got that. And the outfit started coming in pieces. And I really wasn't even going to share with anybody or post on social media the costume. I just wanted to get it for myself and just, be on my nerd, energy. And then I just snapped some pictures and she showed me a couple things online on a editing app, and I started playing around with it. And once the edit was done, I was like, man, that's kind of look tough. And so I just randomly posted it on IG, and it started going crazy. Like, it went viral. I think, what is that? Anime 365 on IG. Okay. It's like Anime Cosplay 365. It's a page on there that shares melanated cosplayers and content creators and business owners. They reposted my content and it blew up. And I was like, oh man, like this is actually kind of sweet. And then I got invited into a Discord and met a bunch of other cosplayers who, were either experienced or were brand new to the scene. And they were like all over, not just in Ohio. And that kind of like got my start. Like I just posted it up and people really rocked with it. And I was like, oh, well, I could see myself, doing some more of this. And people were like, we really liked your content. We want to see more of that. And I just kept buying stuff off of Amazon. And eventually that just led to, me continuing to cosplay. And then this was during COVID too. So this was like around the time where kind of personally I was going through, a marital situation. I was going through a separation. I've been in the house a lot of the time. And I was still new to Ohio. And I decided to finally get out and try to meet other cosplayers, and met a couple people through the Discord, and I went out to OhioCon. And then shortly after that, I started just going out to different local things in the city. And that's where I met Maki at one of the events as well. She was cosplaying, I think, Naruto at the time. And I just kind of showed up for another person that I knew at the time. And it just went from there. I just kept showing up and meeting people and networking, and it's just been up ever since.
Hey, it's up and it's stuck, but I do want to ask you, because this is something that nobody has really talked about when it comes to the cosplay situation in the community. A lot of women, when they're, especially in particular black women, when they cosplay a character, they get a lot of hate saying, oh, well, that character isn't supposed to look like that. Have you, as a man, ever experienced that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, in my opinion, like Afro Cocoa Puff said, they're going to be black today. But nah, like even with my first cosplay, when I did that Kakashi cosplay, I mean, the comments, and I think it's to be expected with anything that goes viral on social media. It's also, it's not all going to be positive. It's going to bring in some negative entities and negative energies that want to hate on the stuff that you put out. I don't know, maybe if it's because they're too afraid to, put themselves out there and things like that. But, I got a lot of comments, not as much as the positive comments, but I did get some negative comments that was like, Kakashi isn't black, and, they would make racial slurs and jokes and stuff like that. And part of the thing that frustrates me too is on social media, it seems like, a lot of these anonymous accounts or people who are, clearly being offensive or clearly being racist towards black people and cosplayers, is that stuff doesn't get flagged. But if, we respond with the smallest things, we get, flagged, or our stuff gets taken down. And that's something I realized very quickly. Like, they could just throw in words that are like clearly racist and it'll stick. And it's like, how do you combat that? It's like you could either meet them with more aggression and negativity, or, you could delete the comments. It really just depends. But right out the gate, people was already coming for me just for, having locks. They're like, oh, that character don't got locks, or, you didn't do the color right, or you didn't put the thing on the right side. Like, people being overly critical of the cosplay. And that kind of takes me to another point that's kind of separate, but cosplaying doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to be exactly like the character. Like, the color doesn't have to be exactly on point. Like, the fabric or whatever, it's your expression of that character. It's your take, or at least that's how I see it. It's like, for me, I'm cosplaying the character, like, and so it's like my personal touch. It's my, identity that's tied to it. So.
And that's crazy. All the unwritten rules in the cosplay community.
I'm saying
it's all bogus, but it only pertains to one particular group. And unfortunately, it is what it is when it comes to that. And like you were saying with the negative comments, I'm actually dealing with that now with a One Piece post that I had from BlurCon. Yeah, y'all know which one it is. And I definitely want to respond, but I was advised not to do that because, like you said, they will flag and take. I experienced that before on TikTok, and it's like I have another method. It's unorthodox. If it's actually your profile, I'm going to find your family and I'm going to DM your grandmother. And then I'm going to take your grandmother out to Bible study and you're going to have a whole nother problem. So at the end of the day, don't try me because I am on some other type stuff.
He on his Akoski today.
Yes.
He's not wearing it for no
play
reason.
no games. I am the original Granny Slayer. Do not play me. Do not play with me because I go for gold. I do not care.
Granny Chill better watch out.
Yeah, what? Don't let me find your grandma. Your auntie is on. It's up and it's stuck. Now you were on your cosplay journey.
Oh my God.
You met Maki, and then you went into cooking. Now, when you went into cooking, were you a little nervous when you first started?
Oh, for sure. My capacity for cooking back when I was a kid is I used to throw a lot of house parties, and outside of house parties, I would do lounges and stuff too, where, my friends would come by and we would basically just do a game night, and I would cook a bunch of food. And for those that don't know, I'm half Puerto Rican, so I have a little, Hispanic background. And so some of the foods that I grew up with, it's like yellow rice with gandules, and, we ate pork chops and empanadas. Well, we don't call them empanadas. We call them something else. But, with that background, a lot of my friends had different backgrounds as well. And we would kind of bring all of our dishes over to my crib, and we would just vibe out, play games, watch movies, do other activities I'm not going to talk about today. But, I just thought to myself, of course my friends is going to rock with my food. Like, it's not all that, we're just kids, and if we eat ramen, we'll eat anything. So I didn't really think too much of it. And then when I met Maki, I made some of those dishes for her too, trying to remember the first thing I did make for her. I think it was the empanadas and the yellow rice, and she was like, "Man, this is really good." And I didn't really think too much of it. I was like, it's probably not that good. And then over time, as we continue to get to know each other, I had the opportunity to make her some nachos and stuffed peppers, which is not something you really see in restaurants, or really, I don't think people make stuffed peppers like that, to be honest. I can't remember last time I come across someone who made that. But, I made it for her, and she was like, "Oh, this is busting. This got to go on the menu." And I was like, really? I didn't really think it was worthy of being on the menu, because she's a whole chef. She's got the experience. She's
the flavors are so delicious.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an honor to have, someone, who's actually a chef, like the food, and think it, was of the caliber to even be on Hidden Lafe Cafe's menu. But over time, more people got to try it, and we even got to be on a podcast with Nisha Cosplay, and I got to cook live for the first time for some people, and other people besides Maki got to try my food. And it's been so long since I got to cook for, a big group of people. And so it was definitely nerve-wracking, because not that I'm doubting what she's saying, not at all, but I was like, if you've never been in a position where you're cooking for a group of people, or cooking for pretty much the general public, it's like, as a creator, like when you think of art, you're kind of like overly critical of your own stuff. You don't think it's going to be good enough, or you always feel like you can improve it or make, some sort of tweak. And so I was going into it like, man, what if they don't like the sauce? Like, what if they don't, like certain aspects of the dish? And just seeing all their faces when they took that first bite is something you can't really describe. But, it took that nervousness away immediately, just seeing that people really enjoyed the food. And we'll probably talk about it a little bit more, but we're in our pre-opening period. So it was giving us a chance to have people come try our food and let us know if we needed to make any, additional tweaks, and also figure out, our own processes and flows. So by the time grand opening happens, which for those that don't know is October 10th, which is Naruto's birthday. Yeah, it's just something about having people finally try that food. It washed that nervousness away. But I ain't gonna hold you. She can vouch that I was up there. I was sweating.
Hey, that nervousness is self-doubt. That talk, man, that shit will have you just thinking the craziest things. Like, man, like, what if they don't like it? What if they tell me to stick to making Lunchables? And then, like, when you see their faces, you're like, man. Well, we're about to get into, before we get into y'all business and everything y'all got going on, I always ask everybody who's an anime fan, what is your top 5 anime and why? Because that says a lot about you. And also, even though this is your list, you will be judged.
All right, that's fine. I mean, I'm transparent.
He came at me last time, so
hey, it is what it is. I'll stand on what I say. But my top 5, definitely Naruto is number 1. Like, nothing has ever come close. No, I won't say come close, but the next closest anime that's in my top 5 is definitely Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But before I get into that, Naruto, again, like, I'll die on this hill. Naruto has like such an amazing cast of characters, an amazing world. And I'm not saying that Naruto is without flaws as a show. There are things I wish I could have seen in a show more of, like certain characters and things like that. But that just goes to show that the characters were so rich that you wanted to see more. Like, you just wanted to see more of that world. And I think one of the things that I like the most about Naruto is how realistic it is. And for the villains too, I'm not really a big villain person. Like, the people who are just evil to be evil, it's like, all right, that's cool. But in Naruto, it's like the villains actually have a fleshed out backstory. Like, there's a very human aspect to them, and you can mentally kind of piece together how this person came to that conclusion. And at that same point, Naruto as a character, like, could have easily been any of his villains all the way up through the end. He started seeing himself in Gaara. He saw himself, in Pain. He saw himself in Sasuke. And, Naruto was such a light being, and he just wanted to bring peace and light to the world, that he just wanted to, when he was dealing with those villains, he wanted to remind them of that human element. And I just think that that was so special as a story, to watch him go from being such a knuckleheaded kid to like really like facing the world and being met with how dark it is, and still, staying true to himself. And with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, it's kind of similar. It's a shorter show, but I just feel like the overall story was just almost 10 out of 10. Like, the cast, the world, it's just straight to the point. Like, every character you care about, the emotional aspects of it, it's a really dope show. That's something that I could watch probably once every year and never get tired of it. And I by Full Metal Alchemist, I'm talking about Brotherhood, not the original. Ain't nothing wrong with the original.
We know. But we Brotherhood, the reboot was better.
Yeah, the reboot, the definitive version. And
if
sorry
they
to the
if
OG
they could do that for
fans,
Promise Neverland, please reboot
I
that.
heard about that. Sorry to the Promise Neverland fans. I thought the first season was dope, and then I had heard from everybody, they're like, that second season, it's like, yikes. So I never watched it.
Got 2, you got 3 more to go.
3 more anime. So Full Metal Alchemist, and then my third, I'll probably say, is Dragon Ball as a series. Like, from the beginning of Dragon Ball, like, I love the original Dragon Balls. It, got that comedy aspect to it, but it's still very serious. And I like the original Dragon Ball, like, that is so focused on the martial arts, and the actual different fighting styles. And then, like, seeing that progression all the way up to DBZ. And then it's like you seeing Goku go from, learning, like, martial arts to just straight, like, I don't know, Goku's a beast. Like, of all anime characters, like, Goku is untouchable. Like, can't nobody tell me, like, I'm not trying to start no arguments, but in my opinion, ain't nobody beating Goku to me.
Y'all hear that? Can't beat Goku. Sailor Moon fans, JJK fans, One Piece fans. Nah, we starting it.
Usagi gonna get you.
Sorry, Usagi. I mean, y'all could try to prove me wrong. I don't know what it is.
Ain't no proving wrong.
At the current state of Dragon Ball, like, Goku has no ceiling. Like, you can't tell me that someone is beating Goku. Like, Goku is reality bending. Like, Goku is just that dude. But anyway, it's just, I don't know. Dragon Ball is definitely top 3 for me. And then after that is Bleach. I met so many people through Bleach. And I feel like it was one of the first shows that was like one of the most mature shows, like of the big three to me. So when I finally came across that, it was like a little bit of fresh air because it's got like that slight edge to it without being too dark, because I don't really mess with shows that are like super dark and like have no hope. But Bleach is top 4. Just the aesthetics, you know, the fights, the bankais, like the aesthetics of Bleach is A1. And then number 5. That's tough. That's tough. What would be number 5? I can't say it's One Piece because One Piece is not over, but One Piece is climbing up there. I know that's going to start a whole another discussion. But
he not drink his water. He even got the water in there. That just made bro parched.
Nah, but for real, One Piece was one of those shows. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I had to give One Piece like multiple chances.
He's walking off the set. He's about to cancel this interview.
Like 6, 7, 8 times, and I don't know if it was like when I got to the Usopp part, it just was like, I don't know what's up with the show, the animation. It was hard to get into, but once you get to Arlong Park and like the crew's actually together, and you get to see the world and see that it's not just about pirates, and that One Piece again is another show that's like a very realistic reflection of real world things that are happening with the world government and things like that, and all these different cultures. It's really real what's going on in One Piece. I ain't gonna get too deep yet, but I feel like One Piece is definitely slowly becoming my number 5.
Your list was solid up until that last one. You know,
I knew I was gonna have it.
You know, you were actually, I was like, oh, I might not have to judge him, and then you just not judge. Like, damn. But, you know, solid list. You got solid reasonings, and they were all good reasonings for your show. Now, Maki, it's been a little while since you were down here. Before, you didn't own a restaurant. Matter of fact, it's not just you that owns this, because a lot of people think that it's just you. Can you clear up that for us?
It's Maki. Here to see JG collects. I had to put on my shades so he come correct. It's like, I'm just messing with you. Okay. I had to get that out of my system. So I started off as Allied Food Force years ago when I was selling food out of my kitchen. And then my whole concept with that was just to meet up with other chefs and create this like Allied Chef Force where we just make anime-inspired food together. And I couldn't find any chefs to help me with that, so I kind of just scrapped that idea. And then I started operating as Maki Maid Cafe, where I was myself just selling my own food. And I was supposed to wear maid outfits and do like pop-ups around the city. I actually never wore a maid outfit. Not one time. I just wore straight up cosplay. So I'm sorry, guys. We're just going to disregard that. But once I started, doing that, I was doing that with my best friend, Zebra Hoopla Chan and Usagi Kawai. It was just us 3 girls operating as Maki Maid Cafe. And then once we met Keith, he started helping us with the events, and he was kind of the only guy, helping us do this. And I was like, well, I don't want it to be about me. Like, I felt weird having a business name named after me because it felt like very just self-absorbed, and I didn't want to be like that because my favorite anime is Naruto, where everything is team driven. So, and I felt like we're a squad, and I was like, I want it to be about the squad. So then I changed the name to Hidden Lafe Cafe, and I think that suited everything in a more well-rounded manner. It represents the team. It just represents a journey of the stages that I went through to get here, and the end result was just not to focus on myself, but to focus on my team and our goals. And then on top of that, represent what I love, which is Naruto, who the character himself inspired me to keep going along my journey. So I wanted it to be well-rounded and be about everything as a whole.
And you said something that I feel like is very important when it comes to like putting a team together. What went into the trust process? Because I had somebody that I was doing this with and things went left. are you scared that like if something goes left with anybody in your team, this could like stunt the growth or derail your restaurant?
No, over my journey of just cleaning up my diet and just learning to be patient with life, be patient with people, and learning that not everything is in your control. All you can do is do your best and try to top that every time. Just keep going. And people and situations come and go. And I just had to learn that no matter what happens, I will always adapt to my situation and keep climbing. So doing this with my friends, because I have, opened a restaurant with a friend before, and that did go left. But it was her restaurant, but I was there to help. But we lost our friendship from me being a part of her restaurant. Whereas, probably would have been okay if I didn't do that with her. But the friends I have now, Usagi Kawai, she's been my best friend since I was a teenager. And then I met Zebra a few years back. But I just learned that my vision is my vision, and my friends are here to help along the way. I cannot put the pressure on them to be 1,000% on my stuff all the time, because this is my thing. They're just here to help. They have their own thing. They have their own life. And I just can't be selfish and expect them to absorb, into my thing. So I always just kept myself in a mindset of that they're here to help me. But if they need to go and focus on something else, they'll go do that. And I got to respect that, because at the end of the day, I love what I'm doing, and I'm always going to give over 1,000% on my thing. And I would want them to do the same for themselves. And I want to see them do big things, and I want to support what they have going on as well. And as far as the trust goes, I just kind of put my trust into the universe. And I believe that the universe will bring me the right people at the right time. And I don't think the universe makes any mistakes. If it's somebody's time to walk out of your life, it's for a reason. You may not see it in the moment, but just be patient and stay focused on your journey, and you'll have a better understanding of it later.
Damn, that last part hit a little different, but like I ain't even gonna go into it. That definitely hit a little different though. But it's great that you got a good team. Everybody has a good camaraderie about them, and then you yourself. It's important because a lot of people who start businesses and they just try to bring a team, they always focus on, hey, y'all got to be worried about, forget what everything you got going on in your life. It's about this, and this. But you're transparent enough to be like, hey, I know y'all got lives, y'all got things going on. It is what it is. Y'all do what y'all can, and that's appreciated. A lot of people don't go for that. It's just, oh, well, if you can't do this, then you're out of here.
Yeah.
And,
Go
was
ahead,
you about to say something?
Go ahead. No, you spitting. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to go back to, we were talking about the beginning phases. Let's get into that, because a lot of people think it's just easy to start a business because they hear a YouTube guru, hey, if you get your LLC, and then you
I hate that stuff.
Facts. Get your EIN.
Yeah, you get your EIN, you get your business credit, you get a loan,
5
and
easy
you
steps.
have a business and you'll be a millionaire overnight. No, it doesn't work like that. So this is a perfect time for you to break down like some of the struggles that you went through at first trying to get this off the ground.
Yeah, I think people just need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to put in work. You're going to cry. You're going to be upset. But you have to be willing to go along for the ride if you want to get to where you're trying to go. And you got to be accepting to lessons that are going to come into play. How are we going to learn and grow and evolve as people if we're not willing to go through the hardships to learn the lessons? So for me, I just took everything with a grain of salt, and just like when things didn't go as planned, I'm like, all right, that's that. We can sit here and dwell on it, or we can move on and see what we can do better, or move on and see, what the next steps is to, climb this mountain. So for me, I just, you just can't get be so hard on yourself. Like, you have to just take pride in the fact that you are trying, you are getting up every day, you are starting. It's so hard for people to even just roll out of bed and do one task. You got to commend yourself for just getting a couple things done a week, especially with working and, kids and everything else that's involved in your daily life. Like, people don't realize that you don't really have the system is not set up for you to have time to work on your craft or try to work on a business or get there. It's a lot of self-learning and self-figuring out, but you have to be willing to put in the work to do the research, because we weren't taught this in school. And then, if you don't have a family history of, owning and running a business, you are going to be kind of out there by yourself and just have to like find other people who have a business or look up your own sources and just do a lot of self-studying and teaching, and everything's trial and error. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with things just not working out or turning out the way you thought, or money being lost. But it's about the fact that you are willing to try. You're only named a failure when you don't try. But if you're trying and something didn't work out, just like, okay, it's okay for mistakes to happen. That's how you learn. Everything's not going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Nah, and then y'all journey was crazy, just from seeing everything y'all posted. From just, what was the process from just even finding the location, and then also even getting like the loan and everything to like even get the building?
So we actually didn't get a loan. We actually never had a loan, never had a grant, never had an investor. We was literally doing pop-ups around the city, selling our food at vendors markets that would charge us like $25 to vend at their event, and kind of build up a social media fan base from doing that. And then we actually kind of took like a break because we were working a lot. And, once it got cold, we didn't want to be lugging, food out in the cold for events. And we just started looking for a restaurant space. And he wanted an Airbnb, Key Suites. So I was like, let's find a place where it's a restaurant on the bottom, an apartment on top, so that we can do both business concepts in one building. And they basically feed into each other since they're both anime themed. He's like, all right, bet. So we went to go look at this building, and it wasn't finished on the bottom. It was basically just an empty big room, and we would have to spend thousands of dollars to even get it to be a kitchen or a restaurant. But the upstairs apartment was complete. But we was like, all right, well, yeah, we ain't got the funds to do that. So the realtor showed us another place where the restaurant was complete on the bottom. It even had equipment already in it. The apartment was on top, and the apartment needed a little love. Like, it didn't have a floor. It needed paint. But he was like, this is more done than, the other place. And he was cool. He didn't want a lot for the rent. He was like, yeah, I just want somebody in here paying rent. We was like, all right, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that. So, but when we got the place, we realized that it did need love. Like, it needed to be painted, it needed to be cleaned, the kitchen needed to be reconstructed. It was a pizza shop. So it wasn't typical kitchen where stove and fryers and stuff like that. But we did want a kitchen with an open concept to where people can see us in the cosplays. Because I was like, well, if we're going to do cosplay with this, they got to be able to see us. Otherwise, what's the point? So it was perfect in our eyes, because it was like, oh, this was a pizza shop. The kitchen's already open. We can just build a ramen bar around, and they can see us. And we just made it work.
And it's definitely working. Like, it looks amazing from when you first started to how it is now. But when you first started and you're thinking about doing this, you're thinking about doing the anime concept, even with the cosplay, were you ever worried that people weren't going to gravitate towards it?
No, I didn't care. I was like, you know what? This is what I love to do. I wanted to mix everything I loved into that restaurant. And I was like, I want to mix, Naruto. I want to mix, not just Naruto, but other animes and gaming stuff involved in it. And I like dressing up and making content. And I noticed that a lot of cosplayers love making content. And I was like, I want to create a place where they can go out to eat and be comfortable in their costume, especially when they go to cons and stuff, and not have to worry about people staring at them. Because when I go out to eat, people are always staring, and they're like, why is she dressed like that? What's going on? There's nothing going on. This is just my norm. I was making content, and I wanted to go eat some ramen. Mind your business.
We even shop in cosplay too.
Right. We shop in cosplay. People just look at us like we're crazy, and we're used to it now. But to create a restaurant where we're in cosplay every day, and we're inviting customers to come in and be in their costume and just watch anime on TV and just be able to actually talk to us as we're making their food, which I love as a chef. I hate being tucked away in the kitchen. I want to talk to the people who are eating the food, see their faces, see if they're enjoying it, and just interacting with them and just having a good time.
Maki's for the people, man. I love it because both of y'all definitely are true to yourselves. Y'all don't care what anybody thinks. Y'all do your own thing, and you're creating a space where everybody could come in and be themselves, and that is definitely dope because there's not really too many places like that out here, to be honest. And then from the time you went, because you did a soft launch for your restaurant up until the grand opening, which is next week, what have you learned along the way from that soft launch?
Oh, we learned a lot. So I have friends that have a restaurant, and they told me that I'm doing it the right way. I don't think there is a right way, but you just got to do it the way it works for you. But I helped a friend open a restaurant before, and I knew that it was just overwhelming when we opened. The whole menu, you're still learning the menu. You're still learning the setup of the kitchen. You're changing things last minute. So I was like, I don't want to do that when I open, especially with, our staff who's new to this or just new to even opening up, being a part of opening a restaurant. I didn't want it to be overwhelming. And you can have a vision for like how you want your kitchen set up and how you want things to go, but things will change when you're actually going through the motions of making the orders, and you're like, this is kind of dumb right here. Let's move this over here. And it's just, I wanted that time to be special and to like work through all of our kinks without having the full-fledged menu and being overwhelmed and having hundreds of people come and eat and dine, and then they're upset because things didn't go right, we're taking too long on the tickets, or the food quality wasn't on point. I wanted to work through all the kinks before we'd be like, all right, here's our full menu, have at it.
Right.
And working through the menu and the quality of the food, a lot of people are going to be curious where you get, because you don't serve just traditional food. It's more vegan based, vegetarian based. When it comes to like the quality, where do you guys get your food from?
So we don't really do labels. We don't label ourselves as vegan or vegetarian or anything like that, just because it's a lot of stuff that goes on when you throw them labels on there. Yeah. People be nitpicking and want to pick everything apart because of their perception of what vegetarian and vegan is. It may be different than the next person, that's okay. So we don't do labels, but we call it anime-inspired cuisine, because at the end of the day, we making food. Whether it's meat, vegan, vegetarian, it's food, right? And as long as it's good, I don't see why anyone would have anything bad to say, unless it ain't good. But we read the back of the labels to everything. Like, we're very, very particular about the ingredients that we use in our cuisine. We make all of our sauces and everything from scratch. We don't use any animal products. Like, we don't do honey, we don't do meat or dairy. And it's just because we want to make healthy food. After going on our spiritual journey, we learned that a lot of things wasn't good for us to eat. And that's why, a lot of the people have health issues. And so we tested everything on ourselves first. When we went through our journey, we spent like a year, taking things out of our diet, seeing how it made us feel mentally, physically. And once we start seeing, the results, that we were feeling better and, thinking clearly, didn't have brain fog, we were like, all right, if we could do this with ourselves, we want to help other people come to this, place of health and a place of life. So, we read the back of the ingredients to everything. I have to order our proteins, and I don't even like calling it proteins because plants have protein. That's the thing. People think that you need meat to get protein. I'm like, what do you think the animals eat? What do you think the gorilla eats? Gorilla is big.
Right.
Eats plants. Don't eat meat. And it's just like, so we get, I order everything special online just because I can't find a lot of these things in stores, because of course they don't want people to access these things easily, because then at that point everybody would eat healthy.
Facts.
But yeah.
And when it comes to that, when getting products for your restaurants, even just ordering? I know with inflation, the cost is definitely getting up there. Now, do you have to reflect that into the prices of your food so you can at least make a profit?
Yeah, so people have to understand, like, when you have a restaurant, pricing is always subject to change just because of, inflation and things going up and down, or just not being able to get certain things. And just like our prices change, our recipes can change at any time. We are always going to be in the business of researching healthier ingredients and products to use and how to make something better. And I personally would rather eat at a restaurant that is always changing things for the better versus just being kind of stagnant. Like, this is our menu, this is the products we use. And you find out, like recently, last week, I found out that vegetable oil was not good for us to be eating. And then they gave them a year to take that off the shelves.
I'm surprised you just found that out.
I don't use vegetable oils. Okay. I just found out that they're take it off the shelves. Yeah, but I already knew that it wasn't
seed
good to
oils,
eat.
Vegetable oils, all that.
So just things like that in restaurants that are just, even they know this information, but they're still using it because they don't care. They're all about making money.
Right.
We're not really
don't fix it.
doing this to make money. We could have just spent our money on an RV and lived our life of just traveling the world, which we wanted to do and enjoying that. But I was like, now that I have this information, I have to help other people. I have to tell somebody else about this. I have to help other people eat healthy. And what better place to do that than in the community?
And speaking of the community, how has the response in the community been to your restaurant?
When we first got to the neighborhood, they were skeptical. They just kept asking, is this still going to be a pizza shop? And we're like, no, we're not going to be a pizza shop. We may serve pizza one day, but we're not going to be a pizza shop. And a lot of people don't really know what anime is, so they were kind of like, what's anime-inspired cuisine? I'm like, come find out. But, we just want people to try something different. Columbus, Ohio has a lot of diversity, but you also see a lot of the same stuff over again, the same type of restaurants. And it's just like, it gets boring, and just like, can we just get something different? So I wanted to create something different.
And it is something different, and it will make you stand out. But like when it comes to like the community support, because there are other like chef, big time cosplayers, people who do events out there, have you received support from them?
I've had people reach out and wanted to collab, but I only will collaborate with somebody if I feel like the energy is right, and if they're putting into it what I am. Like, I've had people reach out and want to collab, and I'm like, I'm all for it. I be on point with everything I do, and then they're kind of like slacking and lacking, and I'm like, I got to keep it moving.
Yeah,
all respect. Right. I got to keep it moving.
For the grand opening, do you have anything special planned?
We just wanted to have ramen on Naruto's birthday. Like, we wanted to do this. It's crazy because we had the place since February 2024, and we didn't know when we were going to open. We just knew that we were just going to renovate as fast as we can and trying to get this open as fast as we can. We was hoping to be open all summer long, but unfortunately, renovations took longer than that. But I think that was just the universe. The universe was like, we want you to open on Naruto's birthday.
And y'all ain't ready. Y'all got to work some things out. So what can people expect from a full menu of your restaurant?
So we have our Maki Rocky. We have our Maki Raku ramen bowl, which is just my version of a ramen bowl. And I just don't want people coming into the restaurant expecting to get exact Naruto replica ramen. And it's just like, yeah, I could do that, but there's millions of ramen shops that already do that. So let's do something different.
Some goofies going to come in there and be like, oh, this is like Naruto. It's going to happen.
That's why it's called Maki Raku ramen.
Inspired cuisine. It's inspired.
Literally, I'm creating things. We're creating things that is inspired by the anime or the characters, our interpretation. Same with cosplay. This is my inspiration of Killer Bee. Is this exactly to the T? No, but it's my interpretation.
And you definitely rocking it. And what else do you have on the menu that's going to be like standing out when it opens?
We have our Itachi Abachi, because he is one of my favorite characters on there.
The goat.
And it has jicama, and we have our plant steak, some mushrooms, and red bell peppers. And then we have like a seaweed rice, which we call katsuki rice. And then it comes with a black garlic chipotle yum yum sauce on it. And the sauce is black naturally from activated charcoal and black garlic, and it's bussin'.
Telling y'all right now, that sauce, that sauce does something to me.
It don't give you that little aftertaste, because you know a lot of black charcoal things, you get that little.
No, okay. It tastes like yum yum, but with a twist of like garlic and chipotle aspect.
It's real smooth.
Now, the hours of operation, is this going to be a day-to-day thing, or is it just going to be on certain days, weekends, when it comes to the restaurant?
So right now our hours are set to Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday through Saturday, we're open 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then Sunday, we're open 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Will that ever change?
Depends on, the situations with like community, or, these are the hours that we just wanted to start with, but they can change later on.
And you mentioned the Airbnb that you haven't been able to complete yet. We could touch on that for a little bit. What info can you give the people about that?
That we are hoping to open next year, 2025, pushing for spring, summer, but it just all depends. Like I said, we work hard for everything that we do, and we've been working hard all the way up until this grand opening. And, running a restaurant is not going to be easy. Things is just not going to blossom overnight. So basically the Airbnb life is depending on, the restaurant, because they feed into each other.
Now, if everything goes according to plan, this restaurant blows up, which I know it will, are you going to keep the restaurant in that same location, or would you gravitate somewhere else?
Well, we're locked into that location for 2.5 years. They tried to get me to sign for 5, but I said, nah, I wanted to, it's my first restaurant. So I was like, no, I want 2.5 years. It's good enough. We'll see how things go. And once that's up, we'll see if we even still want to do the restaurant. We might want to go do something else.
Right.
I don't ever set myself to be locked into anything long term, because life is all about changing, growing, evolving. And as a person of many talents, we might get bored with it. We might decide that we want to do something else, or we might get a bigger location and take it to a whole nother level, but we'll see.
Just out of curiosity, because I got a few more questions before we get up out of here. What made you pick that location out of all spots?
I didn't pick the location. The location picked us.
It really did.
Because we were just literally looking for restaurant on the bottom, apartment on the top. And Columbus has a lot of spaces like that, but a lot of the apartment parts were occupied, and the restaurant was available, or they were just not even like a package deal. Trying to find, we would love to have been downtown Columbus, but it's too expensive. Definitely need loans and grants to do that. But, this location found us and was exactly what we needed for our concept with, the cooking and the cosplay and the apartment on top, and just being able to afford it on top of that. So we just had to take what we could get and make it work for the time being.
And it's working for y'all. And would y'all ever consider doing collabs with like other chefs?
Yeah, I'll collab with anybody as long as they are willing to collab with us and willing to put in the same amount of effort and work into the collaboration that we are. Can't just be all us doing all the legwork. It's got to be equal. And I want to work with people who are creative and as passionate about cooking and passionate about the community like we are.
Agreed.
That would be wild to collab with somebody, especially bringing them into y'all restaurant and they expect y'all to do majority of the work.
You'd be surprised. Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people that I've worked with or tried to work with us, and they see all the work that I do, or we do, I should say, and they just like, yeah, set it all up. Yeah. Like your ideas. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And I'm just like, nah, this ain't that. I work way too hard
come in and
to get to where I am, and I we work so hard in everything that we do, and I just have to work with people that's just on that same energy.
Yeah, you definitely got people on the same vibration, the same energy, because if you're not in tune with each other, it's not going to work out at all. So what's the future for the Hidden Lafe throughout the rest of the year?
Future is just trying our menu out on people, seeing what they like, what they don't like. Our menu always can change. We'll be doing specials that are targeted towards other animes. Every month we'll have something going on. You just got to follow us because we don't even know what we're going to have going on. That's how we operate. We just look up different dishes that we want to try to create, get inspired by things that we see on the animes, or like, you know, if an anime is dropping something like Dragon Ball Z is dropping Dragon Ball Diamond this month. Yeah. We got Naruto fusion with the Ninja Turtles. So now we're like, all right, now we ready to sling some pizza.
Right.
And Senpai, do you have anything special that you're going to bring to the menu later this year or even in the near future?
I mean, it really depends. So one event that we're looking to possibly do is shout outs to our boy Obi-Wan Shinobi. He does Glotakus in Columbus, Ohio. It's a anime cosplay party. It's a rave, but he also does gaming lounges as well. And he's doing a Ninjas versus Pirates theme coming up. He just came off of doing his Sonic theme events in different cities, but with him starting that, you know, it's kind of starting a war
in Columbus.
But with that being said, you know, we have to pull up, you know, of course, in our Naruto attire, and then on top of that, with our grand opening coming up and our ramen coming up, I was thinking to myself, you know, I rock with One Piece. I'm still trying to get her into it, but I'm about caught up. And we all know, all the One Piece fans know Sanji can throw down. He cook. And I think in a recent arc in Wano, he did like this yakisoba noodle dish. And I was like, oh, you know what? I might be able to get inspired by that and battle that out, you know, to go with the theme of Glotaku with the Ninjas versus Pirates. We would battle out the ramen versus the Sanji's yakisoba, or I would make an inspired version of that. So
that might get me watching it, Sanji.
Yeah, nah, don't
promise you.
Don't.
You saying he can't cook it?
Yeah, you said the Pirates versus Ninja Obi. Look, if I could find a building out there, we could set up a wrestling ring and have a Naruto versus.
You taking it to a whole nother level.
I got a custom belt and everything I would have for that event and everything.
So you pulling up?
People put each other in chokeholds and everything.
I would.
You Team Ninja, right?
I would. Okay. I would definitely pull up, man.
Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely Team Ninja, but you know, I just feel like
that's it. Don't say no more.
I'm telling y'all, I'm going for gold in that one. And for anybody who wants to find you on social media, where can they find y'all?
Hidden Lafe Cafe on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
And do y'all have any personal social medias, or y'all don't want to get at it?
Mine is Goddess Maki Cosplay.
And mine is Senpapi on all platforms.
Y'all heard all that information. Senpapi, Goddess Maki. I'm JG Collects. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. It's amazing I have to say this every video, but like that, we out.
Leave it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on Naruto. Wee.
I'm going to keep that in there.